Hey guys, this is Jpar. Today on the show, we have Myles, Dabu, and...
What's wrong there, Jay?
No lip?
Nope.
No zoop?
No soup for you.
Wow. Oh, what? Who's that? I wonder who that could be.
Hey guys!
Kathy? Where have you been this whole time?
Okay, I've been excavating archaeological relics. Quick, take this idol. I'm being chased by headhunters right now.
What?
Well, Kathy, do you want to join us for a podcast?
Yeah, I guess. It's been a while, but my arch nemesis is trying to find this idol. I guess he won't find me in here.
Here, now, let me just move this out of the way.
It belongs to the museum!
Face bombs a museum?
What?
Nothing.
Anywho, on with the show.
This is Jpar, and you are listening to the We Promise Nothing show. This week, we have Myles, we have Dabu, and returning to the show, our guest, Kathy.
Woo!
Before we get things started, I'd like to remind everyone that the music you hear on the show is provided by SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. If you need great music for your podcast, check them out. SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. Now, this week, we're gonna review an old 80s favorite, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, this is definitely a throwback to the 80s because I just love the 80s so much. It's what I grew up in. It's what I know. Indiana Jones is an iconic character played by Harrison Ford, and this, of course, wasn't a collaboration between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, making this a tremendous piece and a great action / kind of comedy when it came out. Indiana Jones is modeled after the strong-jawed heroes of the matinee serials and pulp magazines that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg enjoyed in their childhoods, such as Republic Pictures serials and the Doc Savage series. Sir H. Rider Haggard's safari guide Big Game Hunter Alan Quatermain of King Solomon's Mines, who dated back to 1885, is a notable template for Jones. Spielberg told Lucas he wanted his next project to be something fun, like a James Bond movie. This would be later referenced when they cast Sean Connery as Henry Jones Sr. According to sources, Lucas responded to the effect that he had something even better. One of the possible bases for Indiana Jones are Professor Challenger, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in 1912 for his novel, The Lost World. Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology professor, Sir William Rutherford, an adventuring academic, albeit a zoologist anthropologist. Alright, so, Spielberg was saying he wanted to do, like, his own, like, James Bond, but, not really. They kind of, like, mixed it in with the other ideas that him and George Lucas had. So that's kind of the inspiration for Indiana Jones. But, this first one isn't really called Indiana Jones. It's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, I mean, the whole Indiana Jones name never really became a thing until they started making the sequels.
True enough.
So, just gonna go over a few more things. It's obviously this movie stars Harrison Ford, who plays Indiana Jones. We got Karen Allen, Paul Freeman, who is his arch rival, John Rhys Davies, who is I don't know if he debuted in this movie, but I knew him in this movie, and now we've come to know him as Gimli in Lord of the Rings. And Alfred Molina is at the beginning of this movie, and I know Boo recognized that. Do you know who that is, Myles? Did you recognize who that is?
Yep, that's
and
Doc Ock.
You got that right. He plays Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, and he's at the beginning in something bad happens to him at the beginning. Spoiler alert coming up. So this is a Paramount picture. This is from Paramount Pictures, and it's also Lucasfilm. It's rated PG. Was released in 1981. So it's about an archaeologist and adventurer, Indiana Jones, who was hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant, and he's got to do it before the Nazis.
Dang those Nazis.
Dang those Nazis. So easy to make Nazis as bad guys, right? It's someone we can all root against, you know?
Well, it was the era too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It took place like I think it was right before World War II. It was like 1930 something.
Well, it was like 1941.
Was it? I know
Wasn't
the starting started at
We
1936.
promise nothing. We
Was
promise
that
nothing.
1936 or 1938? One of the two, I think. It's
Yeah, it's in South
in that-
America,
it's in that area.
1930 something.
Okay, so in 1936, archaeologist Indiana Jones braves an ancient booby-trapped temple in Peru and retrieves a golden idol. He is confronted by rival archaeologist Rene Balloch and the indigenous Jovito people. Surrounded and outnumbered, Indy surrenders the idol to Balloch and escapes aboard a waiting float plane. That's pretty much the intro of the movie.
Yes.
So I'm just going to read off a few little quick facts. The famous scene in which Indy shoots a marauding and flamboyant swordsman was not in the original script. Harrison Ford was supposed to use his whip to get the sword out of his attacker's hand, but the food poisoning he and the rest of the crew had gotten made him too sick to perform the stunt. After several unsuccessful tries, Ford suggested shooting the sucker, quote-unquote. Steven Spielberg immediately took up the idea, and the scene was successfully filmed. Indiana Jones never loses his hat in the film, as an homage to the classic serials of the 1940s. In those serials, the heroes the hat stayed on their heads through virtually any assault. This was done for continuity reasons, but also because it was considered poor taste for a gentleman to be without his hat in certain situations, even on the silver screen. Apparently. It even becomes a running joke through the series, and he does, however, lose his hat once each in both Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Indiana Jones, the Last Crusade.
Can I add to that, actually?
Sure.
Does anyone know that he used to staple his hat to his head?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
and that was I don't know if it was Harrison himself who made that choice. Clearly, it's his head, but I mean, well, probably.
End of the day,
I don't know if
clearly
it was.
his choice.
I don't know if it was written in the contract somewhere, but I have to admit I do remember hearing about that. That I think it was.
You didn't
more
use a
so
stun
for-
hat, eh?
I think it was mostly through the last one, The Last Crusade, because he does a lot of horseback riding where I think
Yes.
the hat fell off more often than not. So, yeah.
The line that Indy says to Marion when they're on the ship, "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage." That was ad-libbed by Harrison Ford. The film was originally given an R rating because of the exploding head at the end. They didn't want the picture to be rated R, so they added layers of fire in front of the face to make it appear less graphic. During the scene where Indiana threatens the Nazis with a bazooka, you can clearly see a fly creeping into the mouth of Paul Freeman.
Yum,
Yeah.
yum, yum.
Contrary to popular belief, he did not swallow it. Freeman explained in an interview years later that the fly flew off at about the instant he uttered the word bad. But Steven Spielberg noticing it and decided it would be funny to cut out a few frames so the fly would be seen flying away, so wouldn't be seen flying away. This made it look like Freeman ate it, and he found the edit highly amusing.
Yes.
George Lucas made what was, at the time, an unusual deal for this film. The studio financed the film's entire $20 million budget. In exchange, Lucas would own over 40% of the film and collect almost half of the profits after the studio grossed a certain amount. It turned out to be a very lucrative deal for Lucas. Paramount executive Mike Eisner said that he felt the script for this film was the best he had ever read.
You know, that's interesting. Sir Alan McGuinness, he's the guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
He made the same deal with Lucas.
Really, eh?
Yeah. It was the other way around. I won't get paid to do this film, but I will take a portion of the profits of the movie. It ended up being
So
an
do you
amazing-
think like Lucas maybe took a note from him after the actor came to him? He's like, I like that. I'm gonna do that.
Just saying. I don't know.
Also, that's kind of the same deal that he got from Disney. He got shares from Disney. Half of it was paid in Disney shares.
Yeah.
Which is the most brilliant idea ever, because no matter what money they're going to give you, those, like that Star Wars franchise, that Marvel franchise, all the money that Disney makes is going to be worth more than what they're giving him. Like, those shares are worth so much. It's ridiculous.
Anyways,
Alright.
I just thought I'd point that out. That's a very similar deal that his actor had for
Kind of
him.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford actually outran the boulder in the opening sequence because the scene was shot twice from 5 different angles. He had to outrun it 10 times. Ford's stumble in the scene was deemed to look authentic and was left in. It was also made of fiberglass, so don't worry about it. And as I said before, this was originally called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Did not have Indiana Jones in the title. Later on, they did add that in the sequels. So Myles, this is, I think you said your first time watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. What did you think? First general impressions.
It was a fun movie. You can definitely tell it's got the George Lucas touch to it. You have the sound effects, and I swear they sampled some of the same sound effects too. You have the big sets. You have the practical special effects, and I like that. That's what I like. You have the score.
Awesome.
John Williams that does
Yeah.
the score.
Fact check.
Yeah, fact check myself.
The
The same guy does Star Wars.
Yeah, you can definitely tell.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of when Indiana Jones is with I can't remember her name, but the love interest in the movie,
Marion.
thank you. Every time they're together, the score changes, and it almost feels like Han and Leia again together. I don't know if it's because I've seen Star Wars a million times.
You're
so now
right.
I
It
have
is
that
John
in my head.
Yeah, it is John Williams, and the music plays off this movie brilliantly.
Yes,
Like,
it
it's
sets
just-
the tone.
it
You get the
really
romantic
does.
tone when they're together. You get the action tone when there's an action sequence. You get the suspense when he's got to do something death-defying. So yeah, it's really good.
The
score.
music definitely brings you into the scene. Even if they look hokey, the music still kind of brings you in. And like you said, the big practical effects are great in this, and it's classic of Spielberg and Lucas and everyone of the 80s who was trying to emulate what Spielberg and Lucas were doing, especially when they collaborate together to make something like this, Indiana Jones. Now coming back to the music, John Williams, such an iconic theme along with that Star Wars theme. You know, like Indiana Jones, like this gets you pumped.
But going back to the movie, super cheese. Holy cannoli, super cheese. Every time Indiana Jones gets himself into some situation where he can't get out, he gets a cheesy way out. And it's kind of, come on. That's super cheesy.
Believe it or not, that's kind of part of the charm that comes with the whole Indy character. I think this idea that we're supposed to see him as this very serious adventurer who can take on just about any obstacle that comes his way, and lo and behold, he's got a thing for women. Surprise, surprise. And on top of it, he's always got this knack of putting himself in really bad situations and not getting a way out of it, so to speak. He just seems to want to wing it every time. And by winging it, he does whatever is, happens to come to mind at that very moment. But you're right; it's just too convenient. He always tends to get out of it.
The
But that's
conveniences are astounding.
yeah.
But it's so cheesy, and it's almost confusing at times. I don't know if we can talk about spoilers.
Well,
For
let's
the
get
1981 movie.
Oh no, well, we definitely didn't talk about spoilers, but let's get everyone's first general impression.
Okay, so yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed myself. Really good effects, and you can definitely tell who the director was, and you can definitely tell who wrote the movie, and you can definitely tell what production company did the sound and did the sets. So
even to the point where even some of the people who didn't speak English, like the non-American characters, let's say that, they sounded like aliens from Star Wars, where they weren't like saying anything for real. Like it was just mumbo jumbo, just like some gibberish that you'd hear like some aliens would say on Star Wars.
sometimes the music would make me feel like they're back at the cantina,
Yeah,
where all the
yeah.
aliens are there, and then you have the Tatooine, and then you have a desert set.
Yeah.
And it was almost like he really likes that atmosphere. I don't know. But there was a lot of similarities, and I couldn't shake that the whole movie. but it was a good movie nonetheless.
Did you catch a lot of the Star Wars sound effects that
Oh,
was
yeah.
brought into Indiana Jones? Because I think there was a
When
couple of
they
moments when
turned
they
on
were...
the airplane right at the beginning of the movie, it was the sound of... I can't remember exactly, but it almost sounded like either phaser fire or...
Yeah. I definitely heard some some fire from the laser guns.
Yes.
In Star Wars,
Well,
like
that
that.
scene where they turn on the generator, or not, it wasn't so much turning on the generator. Sorry, it's when they open the Ark at the very end, and then all of a sudden their generator goes off, and that sound after the electricity launches off into everyone and everything around it.
Yes.
That initial sound and everything afterwards, that's all Star Wars. That's
Yes.
that whole thing.
I heard at least 3 different Star Wars sound effects that are just so synonymous to that it takes you back to those movies. So it didn't bother me. It just told me who was making the movie, I guess.
And I have to admit, these 80s movies, along with many others, they always bring one of my favorite sound effects that are still occasionally used to this day. It's when you get that generic guy who's
The Wilhelm
falling to his
Screaming.
death.
Yeah.
What is it, the Wilhelm scream?
I don't know what
I
it's
don't-
called.
I think that's what it's called. Fact check.
I didn't realize they had a name to it.
It does. It's the Wilhelm scream.
Well, I can't
It's
fact check
it's
that.
the most. Yeah, you can. It's the most used sound effect ever in any movie. Fact check it. Wilhelm scream.
All right. But, I mean, I thought that was one of the best elements out of this style of movie for me in that generation.
I just want to make sure I'm not like saying a random word, but it does have a name.
Well, you're definitely saying a random word that goes without saying.
Yeah, but the point is, it's anyways. We'll look it up. Kathy, so general impressions of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, well, I've been watching this movie over and over again since I was a kid, and I don't think it'll ever get old for me. Although that does have the cheese. I watched it at a time when I didn't realize it was cheesy until I, grew up and realized, like, oh god, this is very cheesy. But I love it anyway. I love the way it was filmed. I love the way that he actually uses a lot of shadows and everything in the background.
It's true.
There
was a lot of shadow play in this.
Yeah. And I actually also noticed a lot of... I kept wanting to call the monkey Apu. And they're running through, with all the guards
That little
and whatever.
asshole. That little asshole
so
monkey.
of course, in the back of my head, I had that song running through my head through that entire scene. But
I still, to this
just
day,
later.
I always laugh at that scene there where the monkey hails back to the soldiers.
Yes.
Hail Hitler! Ha!
Yeah, that was. It makes a little monkey. Oh, speaking
That
of
was
which, I gotta
perfect.
find out who does the monkey's voice now.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about how you thought you had
It makes
caught...
that noise. I guess Frank Welker will look that one up. But I did confirm, or Boo did confirm this one. The Wilhelm scream is a stock sound effect of a man screaming that has been used in more than 225 movies and television episodes, beginning in 1951 for the film Distant Drums.
Interesting.
And could you check see who does the monkey voice? I just want to see if it's Frank Welker.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, did you get there?
Did I hold that one too? Holy shit, I'm good.
See, that's something I wouldn't have caught, but...
Wow.
Who did you say he had done the voices
He
for?
does the voice for everything. Anything that's like a sidekick cartoon character, he does it. Like Slimer from Ghostbusters, he did it for that. He does Ray's voice from Ghostbusters. He does Freddy's voice from the original Scooby-Doo. He just... everything. Anything that's like a little sidekick animal character, he does it. He's been working for a while. Like I said, he's the original voice of Freddy. And I think we talked about it on a previous episode even.
Yep.
All right, so and I mean myself, I love this movie. This is a great movie. It brings back fond memories of Spielberg movies, Lucas movies, just movies from the 80s. And like Kathy says, when I watched this wasn't a cheesy movie, but I mean, you look back on it, it's easy to pick out the plot holes and the cheesiness and corniness now. But with that being said, it is still a fun movie. And it just makes you feel good when you watch it. There's lots of action, lots of comedy.
They travel by map.
Yeah, they travel by map.
Yeah.
This originated the travel by map. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many movies that tried to copy what Indiana Jones did. Like Romancing the Stone is one of the ones, kind of rip-off movies that kind of try to rip it off. There's been many others that have tried to do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You see that boulder scene emulated so many times. Even the scene where he's removing the idol, he's trying to weigh it out. You see that emulated so much. This movie has inspired so much, and it's great. People love this movie, and there's a reason for it. We can look past its flaws. A movie nowadays probably wouldn't get away with that, but because with the nostalgia factor, some of us might be a little more forgiving than others.
And it was well made cheese. It was aged well.
Well, given that we can kind of look back on a movie like this and accept it for the flaws that it has, I think it's because it is very much already become a timeless, piece. We can watch this 10, 20 years from now, and I can still feel like I get that genuine sense of thrill and fun that I got since the first time I'd watched it. So I think that's the benefit it has. It's not quite the cheese, I think, that we might label nowadays with movies that have the effects that shouldn't have no cheese to it, really. It has no excuse. Now, back then, they had less tools to work with, and I commend both Spielberg and Lucas for pulling off what they did.
That's the kind of stuff that I actually really like about 80s movies and older movies is the actual effects, the prosthetics that they use instead of resorting to CGI. So to have those big sets and those big action scenes, I love that. I love the old way of movie making, and there's just something. There's like some sort of magic in those 80s movies, especially ones like this that just really gets to me. I don't know about you guys.
I think half of it is the music in old 80s music, in old 80s movies. I don't know what it is, like the way they filmed it, plus the music in most 80s movies, you know what I mean? It just kind of brings you back to that time, and I don't even know, I can't even pinpoint exactly what it is.
It's the all-stars behind the scenes that does it for me. Like George Lucas in the 80s, that was his heyday. Steven Spielberg, he was just like up and coming, doing really good stuff. John Williams can do no wrong.
God.
Yeah.
So
he's got all the awesome
Genius.
themes.
Yeah, so for me, that's what it was. You had an all-star behind. Like, I don't even know. Would the movie...
No,
if it wasn't Harrison Ford...
If it wasn't any of all those people that you
take all
named...
the actors, yeah. If you
it
take
wouldn't.
out
It
all
would
the
be.
actors,
It would just not
probably
have
still
not
be a good
been
movie.
as good without all those people behind it. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
They certainly had everything in place properly before they even casted the characters. You're right about that. I have a strong feeling that if they were to recast the movie and attempt the exact same script and the exact same, format, with maybe the exception of new tools nowadays, right? So
I think it's called Crystal Skull.
We never acknowledged that one.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Can I make a mention, though? What I loved about this Raiders of the Lost Ark that brought back memories, almost good and bad, but some of it being bad because it reminded me of Crystal Skull and how we try to, acknowledge its existence. I just love the fact that it brought back what I felt was needed from the indie franchise right from the beginning, which was that last scene at the end of Raiders where they put the Lost Ark amongst all the other crates. That is your first glimpse to the universe that indie belongs into, right? So suddenly you start to get this bigger point of view that there's so many other relics out there in the world that there's really this never-ending cast of stories that could be told within indie's world.
Yes.
Hence why when we come to the Crystal Skull storyline, it didn't fit within any of those movies, and I think that's why we look so poorly upon it. So when I think back on Raiders and how I see that last scene, I really desperately want to see more of that room come to life in other movies because there's so many other things they could do with that.
I got a couple things to say. The very beginning of Crystal Skull was in that room. That's where he had to get that, whatever it was, I don't remember, plot device to move the plot further.
Yep.
And two, what bothered me about Crystal Skull, I actually didn't mind it. I don't mind it as compared to it's not great, but it's like my problem is the science fiction crap that got mixed in there. I'd much prefer the supernatural effect that the three previous movies had.
Yeah,
Which was played up in this one because it was the Ark of the Covenant, and the second one was some I don't know what, some pulling out of hearts of chests and things, and some voodoo of some kind. I guess I don't know.
Which
You don't remember the relic in Temple of Doom? Is that what you're saying?
What was the relic in Temple of Doom?
Remember the stones with the lines on them that were stolen from the village? Those stones are what allowed the village to prosper and have good crop growths and good weather. And according to them, it was a good omen. But the second it was stolen, apparently, according to the village, along with the stone, they stole their children. Remember, the children were being stolen. They were being basically
made slaves.
Yeah. So a lot of the obvious ones, but the stones were always on the background because apparently they were the source of the powers that the shaman guy was using, I guess.
Anyways, another mystical element is what I'm getting at, as opposed to going in a sci-fi direction with the aliens. So that's what makes them, I find, better than... And like you said, we're not as forgiving because, I mean, Crystal Skull's got all that corny stuff too, but it's like, that's bullshit now. You know, like, you wouldn't survive a fridge flying that far, you know, like...
You know what's funny is I didn't like the Crystal Skull, but then when I watched this movie today, I realized where all the corniness and cheesiness came from, and it opened my eyes. It's like, okay, that's what they were going for.
Yeah, they were. They definitely
were trying
were.
to get the old Indiana Jones cheesiness, and then
Yeah.
But now, because it was done in the late 2000s, there's a lot of like information out there saying, you know, aliens are among us, or that people worship them. So now it kind of made Crystal Skull a little bit better for me. I hate to say it, but I think I would have had to see the other 3 movies or 4 movies or whatever it is.
There's other 2.
Okay. I would have had to watch those first before I watched Crystal Skull, and I think I would have had a better Crystal Skull experience. That's where I got.
Well, it definitely helps being a fan of the franchise.
Yeah, because Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull came out of nowhere for me. It was like, okay, let's see what everybody's talking about. And it was just god-awful.
No, I could see that.
And I couldn't handle it.
That's why I don't think it's that bad. I actually don't mind it as a movie. It's definitely not the best out of the indie movies, but I still don't mind because it still has... You know, I'm always a sucker for those franchises. You know, like, if they cranked out another Indiana Jones, I'd still go see it. You know, so...
For sure.
I'm pretty sure they're doing a prequel. They're going to do Indiana
I think they're going to recast
in the
him.
early days.
Yeah, they're going to recast him.
Really? You think they're doing a prequel?
Yeah, they are. They're recasting him. He's going to be younger.
I think they already
Oh,
have
Lord.
someone picked.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
do.
know who, though.
See, the reason why I think I might have a concern with that is more due to the fact that there's already been a prequel, so to speak, in terms
Young
of
Indiana
the
Jones?
Young Indiana Jones series. Wasn't there also a Young Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade at the beginning, played by River Phoenix?
Yes.
Is it River Phoenix? I think
Yes.
the one had...
Yes.
yeah, I guess he had died
You're
of an
absolutely
overdose
right.
or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
He's the
actor
brother
in
to the
particular,
king. Yeah.
he was very much an actor known for being the Young Indiana Jones before the miniseries, I think, came up afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But I don't mind that, but I don't see how they can get Harrison to look younger. How are they going to pull that off?
Well, they're just going to get a different actor.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Well, okay, well then I could have sworn they were saying Harrison was coming back for...
Well, they tried, but I think now that he's out, they're going with a new actor.
Okay. I am aware that they were trying to do a younger one. I forgot they had just casted one recently, so...
All right, so let's get back to this movie. Let's start talking about what our favorite and maybe our least favorite is about it, what we don't like about it, and then let's give it a rating. And Myles, you started us off before, so you're going again.
Okay, favorite part would have to be the practical effects. Every time something blew up or somebody had to go across something, it felt real. It felt like they were actually doing it, and I really like that. I like that about Steven Spielberg's movies. Jurassic Park, for example, had practical effects, and I found he took a lot of pages out of that. And the score was amazing. But it did remind me a lot of Star Wars. Just the way it swings your mood all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, love interest, we know that these two are going to pork soon. The music just got a little, you know what I mean?
Chicka, chicka, wow, wow.
What I didn't like about the movie, was the cheesy way that he would get out of a tough situation. And there was at least 4 of them that happened, and one of them was really bad.
Lot.
He finds himself in a restaurant with the French arch nemesis, and there's no way out. They're surrounded by Arabian men with firearms. How does he get out of the situation? A bunch of kids come in and say, "Uncle Indiana Jones," and they're all hugging him.
I knew it!
Like,
I knew you'd have a problem with that scene! I knew you'd have a problem with that scene!
And then the French guy's like, "You're not going to be able to get out of every situation like this. Just remember that." I'm thinking, how is he getting out right now? They're slowly exiting the building. And then to top it off, the kids leave. And then you see Molina's character, Gimli.
No, Alfred Molina's already dead. John Rhys Davies.
John Rhys Davies, sorry. He comes over and he talks to me. He's like, "Yeah, I got you out of that mess. Better than the Navy SEALs, right?" And then all of the Arabian men come out, and they're all smiling with their guns and everything. I'm thinking, why don't they just shoot him right now? or capture him or something.
In other words, the kids are no longer his shield.
Yeah,
Why
they're no
are
longer
they
his shield.
suddenly ignoring him out in the open?
And not only were they ignoring him, they weren't ignoring him. They were actually laughing and smiling. They're like, yeah, Indiana Jones is out of the building. I'm like, okay, who is the bad guy here? Who's the good guy? I don't even know. But it happens so often in the movie that it kind of distracted me and took me away from the movie a little bit. So that kind of sucked. He's in the pit with all the snakes.
Yeah.
How does he get out? He pushes a giant idol, and then it falls on.
It was a statue.
Okay, yeah, a statue falls on a wall, breaks the wall. Okay, I get that. But then there's one loose rock that happens to take him to the exact spot where he needed to be, and nobody else could see this pillar sticking out of the ground with this loose rock that they were looking for how, Lord knows how long. I'm like, oh, this is too convenient. I can't handle this right now. So that's it for me. Is the convenient ways to get out that weren't even like clever. It was just like really badly written and then poorly executed. Okay, take it away, Boo. You gotta stop me.
It's funny.
So are you gonna give it a rating?
Oh, you want a rating?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
3.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Whew.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. And I think it's
Okay.
because I'm seeing it for the first time in 2016, a 1981 movie. Maybe, like Kathy said, it was kind of like 80s, throw it away plot holes and plot devices and story. It didn't really matter back then, but now I need that. I need a reason for people to do the things that they're doing, and it didn't do it for me. So, but the music was good, the special effects were good, and I like Harrison Ford back in the 80s. I thought he was hilarious, and he was grumpy all the time, but it worked. So yeah, I give it a 3.
All right. Boo.
Well, I will say this: you had everything on the nail with regards to whether it be the score, the characters, even the story in itself. A lot of things actually fit in beautifully together. And then there's obviously the little holes here and there that you could pick at. I get that from your perspective, if you hadn't seen it when you were younger, like I guess if you had grown up with it, and in the back of your mind knowing that was an indie movie then, and then seen Crystal Skull that came out at a later time, you would probably have a different opinion, I might say. I will admit, I'd have to say my favorite part of the movie, I think, is kind of part of that cheesiness that you described, because it's kind of the part of the character that I expect out of an indie movie, an Indiana Jones movie. So if I had to just kind of pick a couple that come to mind, I think Jay might agree with me because of how funny they were, but there were little ridiculous moments such as, actually one of my favorites was when the monkey would hail back to the soldiers, That was literally because I knew it was coming, and I knew it was not it wasn't like this long line that I had to memorize and then say out loud. It was just a sound, right? It's those little one-offs that I used to remember, happening. The soldier that landed in the front of the truck. The truck is moving. The guy just stops for a second, stares at the camera, and then jumps off. Like, wow, you were really in trouble there, weren't you? So again, they all add up after time there, and I felt like those were the moments I looked forward to because they just made me chuckle, like, for a brief moment, and I can move on.
I was laughing at some of the corny parts because, I guess I forgot how corny this one is. Like, oh man, I was guffawing at some of the scenes.
So, of course, and I can go on for how many of those that you can find, but I felt like that's part of what I always enjoy out of them. Hence why I could never take them seriously. Indy was never very much a serious character. He had always this undertone of laughter throughout the entire thing from beginning to end. There's a few moments when there was too serious of a tone, with the exception of the ending, which I think they tried too hard in this case. But you got a supernatural story. It's kind of hard not to try to take it one way over the other. My least favorite? I honestly, I don't think I have a least favorite. I don't know.
So is this a perfect movie?
No, it's certainly it's far from perfect. Far from it. No, and it's not going to get that kind of rating either. I just have to admit that because a lot of it could be kind of stripped apart, and then have nothing left to really defend itself as a movie per se. There's some really big holes that you got to really consider here. But given the time that it was made and the fact that it, had some effect issues, I might have to say I just didn't like the fact that they recycled a lot of things that I didn't want to hear from it. For instance, you mentioned the Star Wars, effect. Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way. That does make sense. I was thinking more the literal uses of, sound effects and probably some visuals that I've really never put two and two together. But the fact that I know that this is the same creator of the Star Wars universe brings to me in a different world, and all of a sudden I'm getting these other effects into this new world, it makes it harder for me to take it that much more seriously, to take it as a genuine story for what it is. So it's the Star Wars stuff.
All right, so just
So
the
rating?
reuse of the effects that kind of take you out of it.
Specifically, yeah, that's this. It's just not something
Kind of
I
makes
don't
sense.
think
I mean,
it's
you're
needed.
hearing a Star Wars. It's like, wait a minute, this is like the 40s. Why am I hearing or the 30s rather?
Right.
Why am I hearing Star Wars sounds?
And it's not to say I saw droids running around anywhere or happened to see a starship in the distance. It's nothing that literal, but again, when you can pick out the specifics in terms of its production, yeah, that bothers me. Rating? I think I was giving it closer to a 4 out of 5, I think, for me. And a lot of it, and I will admit, a lot of it has to do with the nostalgic personal feel. I grew up with it knowing that it was a movie that I absolutely, loved dearly. And then it just got better over the years. As for maybe someone like yourself, Myles, it might be the opposite because it was your first time. So.
All right, so yeah, I really, really, really enjoy this movie. What's my favorite part of it? Like Myles already covered, the special effects, the practical effects are just amazing and great. The music is great. The directors, like the cinematography is amazing. I mean, they've done so much good with this. And I just love movies from the 80s, and I like Indiana Jones movies. I did grow up with this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff in this. I mean, there's plot holes you can drive a truck through in this. It's it's pretty ridiculous at times, but as Boo said, it kind of adds to the charm of the movie. Some of the cheesy stuff that happens, like the fight with the big guy, and he gets pushed into the plane propeller there. That's like that one of those situations that Myles was talking about, how he always just finds a way out. I like all that cheesy stuff. That's great. I love all that shit. But yeah. I mean, I find, like I said, there's definitely plot holes you can drive a truck through, and but there's just so much that's influential about this movie, and just so much to like about it, and I enjoy the character. I grew up with it. What I wasn't mentioned is like what I said to Boo last night is like I love how they build up bad guys in these movies, in all these Indiana Jones movies, because not only do you have your big bad guy who's like the two main bad guys, who's his rival, the archaeologist French guy, and then the other one is the creepy German guy, right? He keeps saying Fräulein that guy is a creep. But they're both like such good bad guys, and even just the smaller bad guys that he has to go. He's fighting a guy. A big guy just comes out while he's fighting these guys in the plane. He was bored that day. He's like, oh yeah, he's like coming out to fight Indiana Jones because this looks like a good challenge, Or the guy that he fights with and he throws out onto the grill of the truck. Like you said, he almost has like this little story to go with all these little villains that he takes out along the way until he gets, until the big ones are taken out at the end. But it's just like, they just have Lucas and Spielberg just deliver this story in such a way. They just make you want to like it. So I am just going to end with a solid 4. You should definitely see it. It's a great, fun movie. There's a little bit of problems with there's an Indiana Jones movie I like better than this, and there's ones I like less than this. So this one is definitely sitting at a 4, but it is a damn good movie. You should see it.
Excellent.
And Kathy, I believe it's your turn.
Yes, of course. Well, clearly I've loved this movie since it came out. It has this cheese, and of course my favorite parts, other than obviously what the score and everything else that has been mentioned over again. I actually enjoyed the chemistry between Indiana Jones and this Indiana Jones girl, and I keep wanting to call her Claire from.
It was Maria,
Scrooge.
wasn't it?
Marion.
Marion, yes.
Marion.
Yes. The chemistry between him and her, it felt like they knew each other forever for 10 years, and the fact and that he was actually out of her life for 10 years, and it almost felt like brother sister close, you know what I mean? Like they had this wonderful chemistry between the actors, and it came out in spades throughout the movie. My least favorite part though was the spiders.
The spiders. Right at the beginning,
spiders.
they're all over Molfer Molina's back.
Yeah.
and then it says snakes. It's like, well, it's better than spiders.
I know.
What I
It's
mean? That's
funny
what I
because
always
snakes.
think.
Why'd it have to be snakes? And for me, it's like I'd rather those fucking snakes than those motherfucking spiders on them at the beginning.
Exactly. And especially on the second dude, when his back was just covered. And then they're just crawling over his neck and starting to go down his shirt, and I'm like, oh god, no, that would be unbelievably just wrong. It's way too many levels to count. But again, everything else is amazing. I love this movie, and I'll give it a 4 as well, because it's not my favorite indie movie. But it's definitely up there. It started everything. I always pay homage to it. I quote it, misquote it sometimes. I've noticed that when I watched it today. I rewatched it today again. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been misquoting that this entire time, and stick my head in the sand. But no, other than that, yeah, it's great. Andy.
Yeah, and something to be said about our ratings. I know everyone does their ratings differently, and that's something that we all got to consider when we do our ratings. For me personally, a 4.5 or a 5 is definitely a movie that I'll rewatch multiple times. Lower in the tiers, 3, I still like it, but and then it kind of just. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that our ratings could change at any moment. What we give it at this point, our feelings might change a year or a couple years from now. So these are just our impressions at the moment. All right, so fairly warm ratings, except for Myles, who did not grow up with the Indiana Jones character.
No.
But
Myles.
You just didn't grow up, period.
Oh, got him.
You got me.
He's a Toys R Us kid.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to add on to this?
Well, it did win 4 Oscars, so somebody liked it somewhere at some point.
Well, it was at one time. This probably was the best movie out there. You probably could consider that. 81, not many good movies have been put out before then.
No.
Oh, and can I add to? I realized that Kathy brought up a good point with Marion, the actress Karen Allen. There, when she played that actor, that character.
Role?
When that actress played that character, they brought her back for Crystal Skull. So I think
Right.
that in itself speaks volumes and how
She
relevant
must
her
have been,
character was.
she must have been the favorite indie damsel to bring
Yeah.
back. Well, clearly no one liked the one from Temple of Doom, because just Indy, just screaming all the way through. You listen to Dr. Jones, lady.
And she could have at least said his name differently once. That would have been fantastic. But it's always the Indy, and it's the same tone, the same throughout the entire movie, and that was just annoying. But yeah, I don't like her at all.
Wow.
I think it's safe to say people watch Temple of Doom not quite for her character, but for everything else that happens in that movie. That's
Thank
probably
God for Shortstop. That's all I have to say.
for short round.
Short round, yeah.
Shortstop.
I didn't realize Indy played ball.
You never know, And then, and also short round. Yes, that's who I meant.
Now I got a question for Myles after what we've just said all this here. Have you seen the other 2 movies? No? Or have you seen snippets of it?
I think I've seen snippets. I definitely seen parts of the
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, because when you mentioned that...
Sean Connery.
Thank you. Sean Connery was in it. I remember that. I remember him interacting with Sean Connery, and I remember it being funny. I remember the interaction between the two of them were really funny, but that was it. I seen it at such a young age, and I only seen snippets, so I didn't really... It's not enough for me. I'm going to have to see all the other movies at some point.
Well, Myles, maybe if the fans like this video, they will like it and leave comments below and tell us that they want us to review Temple of Doom and Last Crusade. And hey, if you guys want us to, we will. Just leave a comment below. Make sure you like this video and share it and all that good stuff.
Or we could just tell Myles to go watch the movies.
I'm easy.
But
it'd be much more fun if we had the internet do it for us, Boo.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to wait for it, though. Go see the movie.
If we can get all 27 subscribers to Twitter him every day to watch Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, then maybe, just maybe, we will review them on the show.
Tall orders. Tall orders.
I like it. All right, I'd like to remind everyone that this week's episode is brought to you by Random Thoughts with Kathy.
What if we lived in a universe without deodorant?
What if we lived in a universe without deodorant? Now, I want you all to stop and think about that for a second. So, what if we lived in a universe without deodorant?
I'm wondering that because...
Would people walk around with, like, soap sticks just to clean their armpits all the time?
Like, I think that people would just be used to each other's smells and it just wouldn't be a thing, would it? Because, like back in the West or whatever...
So you think everyone would just put up with each other's smells is what you're saying?
They'd have no choice, really. Like, unless they showered, like, there was a mandatory midday shower or something. But
so people would go around with puddles in their armpits, in their shirt.
Yes.
Just not caring, just not giving zero fucks about the deodorant because deodorant doesn't exist.
You know? We don't know any
We'd have
better,
to put
so
up
that
with
would be
this.
normal.
Like, people would point at stuff and, like, sweat would just fly.
Yeah, but people wouldn't
Because
know
it'd be
any better.
none?
That
No,
would be completely normal. You've never seen that your entire life. You've been around these smells your entire life.
Now, my only concern with all that said is, if that were the case, as we might say, right, how smells,
How do we say?
how we attract the opposite sex with
Pheromones?
pheromones and such. So, what does that say about either a man or a woman who doesn't use deodorant? How much do you have to smell to get the attention of someone of the opposite sex?
At that point,
Because at
they'll
that
just
point,
be all confused,
yeah, because
right?
the smells are so.
Or because the pheromones would be everywhere, there would just be like sex all the time.
Stinky sex.
Wow,
Yes.
yeah, really
Very
horribly
stinky.
stinky.
So
sex.
basically, it'd be a world where, like, if you stunk more, like if you smelled more like sweat, then you'd be more attracted to the opposite, to the opposite sex,
Maybe.
or same sex, depending what you're into.
So are you saying that people right now who smell good don't get sex?
yeah, that's-
Deodorant is a cock block?
yeah. Apparently, this is what I'm wondering. How come we went in the opposite direction, where more smells means
Well,
great
no,
for?
because pheromones can still get through because we're not blocked by the other smells. So it's just like we've evolved to actually pick up on the current pheromones. We just don't have to live through the smells and the big sweat stains.
Right. Okay, I see. But still,
Because really, you don't like put deodorant over your entire body. You don't like
Whoa.
like dip
You don't?
yourself.
wait a minute.
You've been doing this wrong the whole
Well,
time.
no one
Myles.
teaches you. You know,
That's
they give you
true,
a
right?
stick and they say, do it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't like.
That was
jump
in
in a
case you
pool
ever went
full
to
of,
jail, Miles. That's why we gave you the soap on a stick.
And that's why it's called
On
secret.
a stick?
That's
Well,
why
you don't want to drop the soap in jail,
Wouldn't
Miles.
it be better on a rope?
We didn't
Soap on
have
stick
a rope,
Stick
okay?
is to
All
reach
we
those
had,
hard to reach areas.
all we had was a stick.
Soap on a stick just sounds wrong. It sounds like you're giving somebody the ability to clean another person from far away.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that with the 39.
That sounds convenient. I might have to patent that.
Soap on a stick?
Yeah.
So you can watch other people from very far away.
You want to be helpful, but not that helpful.
Very, very popular amongst PSWs.
Maybe, well, you know
Yes.
what?
Oh, true.
Maybe it would be, maybe that's something that'd be popular in this world without deodorant. People would have soap on sticks, so that way you wouldn't have to be beside the person you're cleaning. It's
And
like,
instead
here,
of squeaky
let me
people,
just
they
do
have
you a
soap
favor,
people.
buddy. I don't want to smell you from this distance, but here's some soap on a stick.
So the solution to deodorants
It's soap,
is
on,
soap
a
on a
stick.
stick.
Yeah.
So either
Okay,
way,
we
you
solved
just
it.
found
Some
another way
squeegees.
to get
Find
rid
it.
of the smell, though.
with another smell.
With
Yes,
another smell.
exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome to our
Mint leaves.
troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Wow,
You can do
surefire
like
way to
mint
make this
leaves and-
show go off the rails. Random thoughts with Kathy.
Speaking of which, to everyone
Haven't
who's
done that in a
listening,
while.
to everyone
Thank
who's
you.
listening, please wear deodorant.
Yes, please, twice.
Pretty please.
Please.
All right, so if you like what you hear, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. You can follow us and always join the conversation on Twitter at We Promise Nothing. Drop the G. And we're on Instagram at We Promise Nothing with a G. And you can like us on Facebook. This is Jpar signing out.
Kathy?
Myles leaving the building.
I'm curious. What was Kathy doing?
I don't know. We never.
It's been a while since Kathy's been on the show.
I know,
She forgets how to close it.
Kathy saying goodnight.
And Boo going bye-bye.
And Jpar doing his rendition of the lead singer from Creed.
That's Stained. Well,
Oh, okay.
well, I guess it's the lead singer of Creed singing Stained. Is that what I guess that's how that turned out. With arms wide open. Oh boy. Well, before
and now we're down to 26 subscribers.
Yeah.
25.
Before I hurt your ears, remember you can leave a comment below if you disagree with us. Also remember, we promise nothing. Good night. Kathy, where have you been this whole time?
I've been excavating archaeological relics. Quick, take this idol. I'm being chased by headhunters right now.
One more time.
I didn't say it out loud before. Hold on. Okay. Quick, take this.
Idol?
Is
it an idol?
Yes, it's an idol thing. I'm being chased by headhunters right now.
All right, so redo it. So I'll redo this.
Yeah, I guess it's been a while, and since my arch nemesis. Nemesis.
Okay, say it, just redo it.
Okay. It's been a while, but sure, my arch nemesis. Fuck me. Okay, take 3. It's been a while, but sure, my arch nemesis. My enemy. My enemy.
Just say enemy.
Okay.
My arch enemy.
My arch enemy. It's been a while, but sure, my arch enemy.
Nemi? We're just going to skip the N. We're just going to go to the Nemi.
How about my arch rival?
Yes, that's good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Arch rival?
But I started to sound like Porky Pig. My arch
rival.
My arch rival. Okay.
Challenger, Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology. Challenger was based on Doyle's
Physiology?
physiology. I can't say that right now. Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology.
Here's my nemini.
Arch Nemini.
Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology professor, Sir William Rutherford, an adventure
Academia?
Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology. God damn. Challenger was based on Doyle's physiology.
Take it one step slower.
Yeah, brown cow.
Challenger.
Okay.
Topical.
And this is part of the show that becomes R-rated.
No turtles were harmed during the recording of this show.
Oh man, because they enjoyed every second of it.
Exactly. They bought tickets.
They said yes.
They said yes. It was consensual.
It sounded like yes.
Everyone who's interested, say.
Edit this part out.
No,
Consensual bestiality should not go on the air.
We're not doing it on the air, Myles. Come on now.
It's
Don't be a barbarian about it.
It's okay when the mic is off.
What happens when the mic is off stays when the mic is off. Wow.
All right, this is like
okay.
done.
Yeah.
Yes. Bye.
We climaxed.